Hi, it's Brian Parham with the Rock Dojo, and I'm so excited to interview Miss Kim from Miss Kim's Children's Music. How are you today?
Doing well, thank you, Brian.
So I'm so excited. For those that don't know, we met through Berklee College of Music. We were in the same Chords 101 class, and we connected, and I just was so enthusiastic about your work, and I'm really honored and privileged to have you on the Rock Dojo blog and the Rock Dojo YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about talk about music education today, but I think you're going to start it off with a song. So whenever you're ready.
All right, I'm going to start it off with some morals, because everybody can use a little morals, right? Being kind goes a long, long way. Being kind goes a long, long way. Being kind, you will find you'll make somebody smile. Being kind goes a long, long way. You can be kind and open a door. You can be kind and sweep the floor, or say something nice for someone who is sad they won't mind. Being kind goes a long, long way. Being kind goes a long, long way. Being kind, you will find you'll make somebody smile. Being kind goes a long, long way. You can say please to mom or dad. You can share a snack with your best friend. Then clean up your toys without being told. Ain't that nice, Brian? Being kind goes a long, long way. Being kind goes a long, long way. Being kind, you will find you'll make somebody smile. Being kind goes a long, long way. You can save a little buck, share a big hug, bring your plate to the sink. You can play nice with your brother, help mama with supper. There's so many ways, don't you think, right? Being kind goes a long, long way. Being kind goes a long, long way. Being kind, you will find you'll make Brian smile. Being kind goes a long, long way. Being kind goes a long, long way.
Bravo, 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 bravo. That was fantastic. Oh, beautiful guitar there. Like the designs on the guitar. Oh, it's so pretty. Wow.
Yeah, this one's like Willie Nelson's guitar. It's got the little wear mark here. It's got like all sorts of damage on the back from me banging it around for the last 20 years.
You know what? I'm just sitting there thinking too. I'm like, you know what? Being kind isn't just for the kids. I'm like, it goes a long way. You're like helping around, doing more. Yes, that's good in all facets of life.
I agree. We start them young, right? So they'll continue growing that as they get older.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about Miss Kim's Children's Music?
Well, the pandemic has been good to me. Probably not many people, but it has been good to me because it gave me the time that I really needed to sit down and track out an 11-song album that has been sitting on my back burner for years. I've been performing for children for quite some time, like 10 years, and I never really had time to create this other part of me, which works all the time. I have two identities, and I decided that it would be a really good idea now that I have the time, because I was kicked out of my job for 3 months, to do this album. So I really, put my whole self into it, and literally in 7 months, I tracked it, sang it, wrote it completely by myself, with the help of a few musicians like my son. He did guitar and bass. I hired a few musicians here and there who I needed, but I literally did the whole thing by myself in 7 months.
Wow. So where can people go to learn about or to purchase your album?
Well, I am all over all digital media. So Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, you name it, all the digital sites you can find it. You can also go to misskimschildrensmusic.com. I also have albums there for sale if you want to support the music and get some downloads. And the YouTube. I have a wonderful YouTube channel called Miss Kim's Children's Music, which I have continuously since the pandemic been releasing a vlog a week. I'm now almost up to 50 videos. And yeah, I'm doing a vlog a week, which takes time to edit and research information because I'm doing a lot of educational, edutainment type stuff. So it's really
Amazing.
cool. Yeah, and I got
Amazing.
another album coming out, Brian, in September called Growing Up Creative,
Wow.
which is kind of an
Sounds like a book
offshoot.
title or something too. Like it would make a really good a book actually. Growing Up Creative. Sounds
Yeah,
cool. Go
the
ahead.
first one's Growing Up Great. The
Oh,
first one
I
was
didn't
Growing
even
Up
catch
Great.
it. Oh la la, growing up great and then growing up creative. That's
Right. So
awesome.
I'm furthering the positivity, which has always been who I have been as a songwriter, very positive songwriter. I like to lift people up. I'm a heart lifter, bucket filler, smile maker.
So how did you get started with music?
Well, about 1994, I went to Nashville and fell in love with songwriting. I was already writing poetry on my own. And from there, it was just a total addiction. I fell in love with songwriting almost immediately when I went to Nashville to see some of these most amazing songwriters there and how they crafted songs so beautifully. So my journey has been since 1994. I guess that's 27 years. And I've been learning through Songwriters Association International in Nashville. I learned through them on workshops that I went to in Nashville. I also have been a part of a site called songu.com, which is in Nashville. A lot of the people I've worked with own that site. And I've been working with them to continue to use them as my editors for all of my songs. I almost never write a song without editing through songu.com ever. Because
Wow.
they always help me to edit if I'm writing by myself,
Yeah.
and catch things that I'm maybe not aware of. So that's been amazing. But yeah, I've been a student of songwriting on my own for years until I finally started going to Berkeley a couple years ago. And by that time, I felt like I was already a great songwriter, but now I needed to work on theory and other things like recording and mixing. So
Totally makes sense. So what instruments do you play? And did you play instruments before 1995, or did I know you mentioned that you did poetry, so like lyrics were kind of your instrument,
yes,
wordsmith.
first lyrics. Then I began to take guitar lessons and piano lessons. My husband bought me a piano, and then he bought me a guitar, and I took a little lessons here and there, and I gravitated more to the guitar. And I was a street smart songwriter, learned every bit I could from all the songwriters I was writing with, anyone I could learn from, took a few lessons here and there, and just kept growing and growing and growing. So my vocals was something that I kind of decided I would make my own CDs in, gosh, when was it? 2008. I decided I would write my first album that I would actually sing instead of being the songwriter. The universe kept giving me messages that I needed to sing my own songs. So I took the hint and started doing it. And now I have 5 albums and tons of EPs and singles all over the place. So
This is fascinating because I haven't met too many people who were able to make music as a career who started late in life. I'm basically the only person I know. I started music when I was 28 years old. I had never had a lesson. I was absolutely terrible. I had zero talent. It took me about 10 years to realize that pitch went up and down. I just learned through pure music theory. But what an example of the fact that you were starting, you had mentioned it with your husband. So you were already married, you were already an adult. You probably, don't know where your situation was, but like, maybe
probably same age as you, 26 through 28. I started messing around with music a little bit so that I could write the melody and the chords as well instead of being stuck with co-writing. So it's been like a walking up the steps kind of situation. I just keep up in my game. Okay, I'm good at this. Now let's get good at this. Now let's get good at this.
wow. So what advice do you have, for people who want to start playing music late in life? I myself, I have a lot of parents who, like a lot of my students, they have dads or moms who love the guitar, usually dads who love the guitar, but never really had the opportunity to study it as kids, and they pick up a few things here or there from their kids or their kids' guitar lessons. But I'm curious to know what advice you have for somebody who's discovering a passion for music late in life. And I'm thinking specifically, like I was part of this choir, and it was called really cool choir. You should know this person, Ann Weiss. I did an interview with her on this little program not too long ago. But she does this thing called Singing for the Vocally Challenge, and it was basically like retirees who had dreamed their whole life of making music, but they never had the confidence to go out and do it. And a lot of them were from a generation, I know I was from this generation, that music is talent, and you're born with talent, and either you have it or you don't, which has been so incredibly destructive in my the way that I see it in my own personal music development. I had to get over that. So I'm curious to know what advice you have for people who are getting involved in music late.
Well, if you want to do it, just do it. Don't talk about it, just do it. That's my only advice. Do it daily. Feed your soul every single day, whether you have a day job or not. Feed your soul every day, because really you only get one life. Do you want to listen to other people, or do you want to listen to your heart? You get to choose. You really do get to choose your own life here. You can be a singer, you could be a guitar player, you could be anything you want to be. You just might have to put the time in it. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're all growing in some way, right? We don't go from baby to adult in one day. We go and we grow and we grow. So if you keep doing something long enough, you get really good at it, and you get to do it for a living like me. Woohoo!
So back to the kids. Can you tell me about your philosophy? Because obviously with growing up creative, Miss Kim's children music, you have a philosophy on music and the effect that music has on children. So can you talk about music and the benefits of music, and the role it plays in the lives of children?
Well, my first schooling on what children want is through performing for them on the fly, not really knowing what it was all about, but just jumping into something new and observing, and then pivoting and changing based on their needs. Okay. So I started off and I messed it up really bad, and then I learned from it, and then I messed up again, and then I learned from it. And then before you know it, I realized what they love. They want you to give them eye contact, pay attention to them, sing the songs they want to hear. They want repetition. Sometimes I'll sing the same song twice in the same show just because one other kid asked for the same song again. Whatever makes them happy and smile, I will do it for them. So my philosophy on music for children is morals, movement, and motivation. So those are my philosophies for what I want children to get out of my music. And I'm also adding fun, because unfortunately, the world that we live in is trying to mold these kids into the little geniuses, and skipping these really important things like having fun while learning. So what I've been incorporating is something I felt like I missed when I was growing up into my vlogs, which is being funny, telling jokes, being silly while learning, because I think it's easier to laugh and remember than to be bored and remember. So I'm basically feeling like I'm putting the fun back in the fundamentals.
I like that. Putting the fun back in the fundamentals. Let me ask you this. What does music have to offer kids, especially during the pandemic?
Well, music has something to offer everyone. It feeds our soul. It's just so important. Music helps us to grow as people. It helps us to identify what our feelings are. It helps us to free ourselves from the momentary rules and regulations we have to abide by, right? So it's very freeing, because you can jump around and you can really enjoy yourself, or you can have a moment where you're like, oh, I feel that way right now. And kids can probably have that moment too. That's exactly how I feel. So I think if you can identify with music, it just opens up your soul. It's colorful. It just makes you move. I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for it other than what
That's
I just said.
phenomenal answer. Are you kidding me? It's like free you from the momentary rules and regulations. I was like, dang, that was what's up.
Boom, mic drop.
Exactly. And so do you have any practical tips how parents can integrate music education into the lives of their kids, or just music in general?
Well, first off, subscribe to Miss Kim's Children's Music. I mean, that's a no-brainer right there.
That was a softball, right? That was a softball.
Well, I would say making sure kids have access to music at least once or twice a day, in the morning, maybe when they're getting ready, at night before they go to bed. giving them instruments to play around on, messing around with music very early on, letting them explore it and just have fun with rhythm. You know, really just anytime you can have music on over TV, that's good. Or edutainment that has music within it that they're learning, and there's music and movement. I mean, I'm not really one for watching a screen or having that, but if I had to have my children watch a screen and learn from a screen, I'd want it to be wholesome and fun while my child was learning with wholesome, excellent music. So it's really up to the parent on what they feel is best for them.
And you know, I have to ask you, because I know that you're a parent, and I know that your son is a virtuoso guitar player and an amazing, amazing rock, you know, and metal guitarist. And so I'm curious to know, do you have any advice? Can you talk about that for parents who maybe are interested in, you know, like who maybe love music, and like, you know, it's kind of piggyback on that. But what I'm trying to ask is that really want music to take a larger role and want to provide their kids with the best opportunity for learning music and incorporating their lives. So was there anything in particular that you did to nurture your son's talent, or did it develop on its own?
Well, first and foremost, every child is a unique and special, beautiful individual. You cannot force anything on them that they don't want to do. You'll feel it. You'll feel the agitation in the child and the fight. So I did piano lessons for my son Joseph, who is my virtuoso, and for my son Thomas, who is very talented but just is not as interested, from the 3 years old until it got to be a point where they were not enjoying it anymore, and then we stopped. So I let them stop on their own based on the fact that they weren't practicing, they weren't into it. Then Joey picked up the horn in school, in middle school, and he was apparently very good at the horn. He did the euphonium first, and then the teachers saw that there was something about him, and I think it was that perfect pitch that no one knew he had, right? He had perfect pitch even then. And they started moving him to instruments they needed him on. So he eventually ended up on the tuba, and he was an excellent tuba player, and they always needed a tuba player because nobody wanted to play it. He got to that, and then one day he asked me to do guitar lessons, and I said, absolutely. Took him for guitar lessons with this one guy. He wanted to play lead, and he couldn't immediately. This was when he was like 12. So then I let him stop, but then he started messing around with all the guitars that were around the house on his own. And he picked it up, and what I heard happening was magic. As a musician myself, what I heard was magic. A kid who could pick up a guitar, listen, and play exactly note for note what was happening into his ears. And I said, oh, wow, I got to get this kid guitar lessons. Okay, so I knew already the best guitar teacher in my area. And I said, you're going to this guy. And he's been with him ever since. So he already has that natural ability. He has the eagerness. He has the dedication. He practices like a beast. So I will continue to foster that. Now, my other son, I kind of pushed him to do trumpet because I wanted him to be a part of something in school. So he did the trumpet, and he's still a part of the trumpet now. He is not in love with it. It is not his thing, but he's doing it to be a part of something. So different kids need different things. And I think it's really up, the child and the parent need to kind of have a symbiotic relationship of helping each other.
Amazing.
What is, give exposure to, but don't force, because then it doesn't become natural.
Yeah, it's a fine line. My wife, who also teaches with the Rock Dojo, is kind of like your son. She just has the ability, anything that she hears, she can play. It's amazing. She's has more talent in her pinky than I have in my whole body. But at the same time, her parents really pushed her through like the classical, and they were like, at 8 years old, they're telling her she needed to practice 6 hours a day, because that was in France and that was just how it was done. And it was very different educational system, and the music system was way rigorous. But for about 25 years, she couldn't listen to music. She hated it, even though she had all this natural aptitude for it. I shouldn't say natural, just training, this training from being a young kid. Anyways, I just want to say this has been absolutely fascinating. I love the song that you perform. I love your vibe and your energy. And I just want to ask you this. Are there any questions that I haven't asked you that I should have?
Not really. I mean, I would love to invite anyone out there who has little children, 6 months on up, to sign up for my newsletter at misskimschildrensmusic.com for 2 free concerts a month. It's going to start getting busy in the summer, so it might be 1 free online concert. And, you know, it just depends on what's happening during that month, because I'm doing more live shows now that they're allowing us to. So I would love for people to sign up for my newsletter at misskimschildrensmusic.com and enjoy this energy for a half an hour with your children. And it keeps people up to date on the music, what's being released. I have a lot of great music coming out in September I'm excited about. It's just amazing to be able to do this. And I'm thankful that you invited me, Brian. You're an inspiration as well. I think anyone who has you as a teacher is lucky, because you have a lot of amazing energy. And I feel your
coming from you, that means a lot.
I feel your vibe. I feel it through the Zoom here. So
Zoom. Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm going to ask you to stick around, and I'm just going to stop recording. But thank you so much. It's been a total honor, and I loved your music.